Can exercise boost libido or healthy genital functioning? I'm not a medical expert. I'm not a sex therapist. I'm just a woman sharing my own experiences, opinions, and beliefs. Please feel free to chime in with anything that you have to add. This video is in response to someone that I know who sent me an email requesting me to make this video about whether exercise can boost libido for women. And I think that it definitely can. So what I have seen many times with men, it's easier to notice the loss of blood flow to the genitals because a man's genitals are external, the penis. With women, it's all internal, we don't see it, so it's not as obvious. But what I have seen with older men over 70, from when I was an escort, I had seen often that the tips of their penis would be whitish or very light colored, like it had lost the kind of pinkish tone. And these men would often be very desensitized, and they would feel very sad that they had lost their sensitivity, and they wouldn't even be able to orgasm anymore. Like they had just lost their sensitivity. And I started kind of thinking that it looked like the blood flow had maybe stopped circulating there. And without blood flow, the cells are going to atrophy, the nerves are going to atrophy, and the penis, now again, this is a question pertaining to women, so I don't know how it would be different, but I think in the penis, the capillary, it has little capillaries, or the arteries, if they get clogged, there's a loss of blood flow. But also, I think that people who are very sedentary are going to have more clogged arteries and more dying, atrophying of everything. The blood, the arteries, the muscles, everything is probably going to atrophy when people are very sedentary. And in the cases of the men with the whitish penis, they were usually sedentary type of people. Maybe they did some walking or something. I have seen men in their 70s who are runners, or do like a lot of planks and cardio, that even in their 70s, their penises get very hard. And when I would ask them, they would say, no Viagra. Now, we're talking here about blood flow and health. This is not to get you turned on. Because I'm always very curious, around people's bodies and their sexuality and their sexual response. So if they were in their 70s and they were more of a leaner type and they did regular cardio, they had very good erectile function. I don't know if it's related. Now, it just does make sense, right? Because exercise really gets the blood going. It opens the lungs. You're breathing harder. Whatever it does to our body, it's good. So again, I'm not a medical expert, but I've also had men tell me that, or I've read before that guys have said the best time for them to have sex with their girlfriend is after a good workout because she's more turned on. I've had men tell me that after they work out, they're more horny, and that weightlifting builds testosterone naturally. Now, these are all things I've heard. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. So now for me, I'm 61. I'm not a nymphomaniac, okay? Just don't get me wrong here. But I will say that I attribute that my healthy libido to two things. One, that I nurture it as I nurture my mental health. Like, I think it's super important. Like, my libido gives me good feedback about my health. But also I think that the exercising has really helped with that. The exercising. Now, as women get older, our skin will get more dry, including everywhere, okay? And so for that genital area, I think it's really good to use like a good moisturizer daily that has, well, it needs water and oil. So I like the Evan Healy products for my face because they use water and oil. You need both. You need water to be hydrated, oil for the moisture. So, because sometimes women lose their, I want to segue over to a lot of reason that women lose their libido after menopause is one, they get dry, and then the dryness makes it's that skin that we have and our female genitals, the inner tissue there on the vulva is a very thin skin, and when it's dry, it's very painful to touch, very, very painful to touch. And I noticed that with myself, so I keep that area very well moisturized after my shower. You might want to be very attentive to moisturizing it regularly. The other thing that happens with women is that when their ovaries, I guess, make testosterone, but also the adrenal glands. I read somewhere. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. You might want to look this up. But so after menopause, when the ovaries stop making the testosterone, if the adrenal glands have been overused due to a stressful life or a lot of stress, then the woman isn't making testosterone. And on an Andrew Huberman podcast, I actually learned that women have less testosterone than men, but we have more testosterone than estrogen. Now, I looked for that on Google. I couldn't find that anywhere, but he had a doctor on who specializes in this, and that's what he was saying. But you have to convert it to the same units as the estrogen because they measure testosterone in different units. The third thing that happens with women or with anyone is if people don't feel good and they're in pain, they don't want to be sexual in any way at all, like whether it's hip pain during sex or any kind of pains and aches. So again, foam rolling is really good, and whatever you have to do, physical therapy or exercise to feel really good in your body. Again, for boosting testosterone naturally, that's where the strength training is really good. It used to be, when I started working out a lot or taking aerobics classes in the 90s, the big thing was cardio and step aerobics, and everyone was doing cardio. But now we know that to build muscle or to be fit, we want to lift heavy shit. And I think for boosting testosterone and muscle mass and building bone density, we have to lift really heavy things. In my opinion, heavier things than we would lift on our own. That's why I really like working with a personal trainer. You got to really push yourself where you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And then he's like, one more, Sharzad. You got one more in you. Like super freaking hard pushing me. If you're just kind of like, if you're not sweating and panting and gasp and wanting to scream, I don't think you're lifting hard enough. But also, I think a lot of people overdo it. And if they're not using good form, they can injure themselves. So, just start out slowly and all of that. But I think that, and by the way, the reason a lot of people don't exercise is because the first 10 minutes are really, really hard. It's so hard to get motivated to go. It's so hard to get motivated to go. But what I do, what gets me going, and people might watch this video and go, yeah, what she says makes sense, but I am never going to fucking do what she tells me. I played forward, so I know that if I get up early and get to my trainer, I'm going to have a really good day. And if I don't and just sit around, I'm not going to have a good day. And when people start sitting around a lot and get lethargic, it's easy to kind of get depressed. Not depressed as in like super like mentally depressed, but you start to feel kind of sluggish. At least I do. So just getting out, going for a walk, getting the blood going is super good, and it's to nourish our capillaries, nourish our arteries, nourish our blood flow. And the cardio is really good, I think, for opening up the lungs so we can take deep breaths. This is all I really have on exercise and libido. I think that when people become very sedentary, I do think that their muscles definitely atrophy, and I think their arteries atrophy, and without feeding all the tissue, I think that there's going to be a loss of sensation, because the nerves need blood flow. The nerves need to be fed with nutrition and blood flow, and moving gets the blood going. One more thing you can do, ladies, for I forgot to mention this, so important, is to do some Kegels, and it's just a Kegel is just your squeezing your vulva area the same way that you would when you're stopping the flow of urine. You just squeeze and hold and relax. But here's the important part, is you don't want to just tense it and squeeze it. You want to really relax it too, because I had a friend whose doctor, who went to a pelvic floor specialist, who told her all that squeezing she was constantly doing was creating too much stress on her pelvic floor, and then she had to also learn to relax, because the pelvis floor has to also relax. So don't think, oh, I got to run around squeezing all day. You want to squeeze and you want to relax. And the squeezing and the relaxing stimulates the blood flow too and strengthens the muscles. The vagina is a muscle. You want to squeeze, so the pelvic floor squeeze is just tightening and then relaxing. The other thing too, I had this Tantra instructor tell me years ago that you have to use your genitals, else they atrophy. So she was a big believer in like regular like vaginal penetration or masturbation. You want to use, and I guess for guys, don't stop masturbating. Like you want to use because when you ejaculate, your prostate is pumping. And she was saying something about the lymph nodes. I don't know. The lymph nodes need to be activated, and if you don't use it, it's going to atrophy. I don't know if that's true, but it could be. One more thing I want to say, shout out to my friend who watches these videos. I won't mention her name, but her grandma would say, the hole lasts longer than the pole. Because a lot of men will get erectile dysfunction for various reasons, whether related to the blood flow or related to a medication they're taking, or even if they're nervous or something. But a woman's vagina lasts forever. And when guys can't get hard, I feel bad for guys, because it's all right out there for everyone to see, like they're not hard. But when a woman doesn't get wet, nobody notices. It's easy to just hide it, and then she can just use a little bit of lube. So I think that guys have it a lot harder, no pun intended, when it comes to whether their genitals are still, properly all functioning. But I have noticed that now when my libido is, I feel like it's healthy. I'm happy with my libido and my sexual response, and I attribute that to just keeping some awareness of my sexuality, and the exercise for sure. Yeah. And also that I never let myself be touched in any way that doesn't feel good. Sometimes I think that if ladies let themselves be touched in a way that doesn't feel good, I'm going to go off on another tangent here for what can make a woman lose her libido. it's boundary violations. It's physical boundary violations, meaning not that someone is abusing her, but someone is touching her in a way that's not pleasurable. And a lot of men are touching women in ways that are not pleasurable because they don't understand that our bodies operate differently from theirs, and they're too quick and they're too rushed. And if the woman doesn't speak up, then um, she may not even realize why she's not enjoying it. But your body can actually shut down and lose its libido if your partner is touching you in a way that doesn't feel good. If you're too dry, it's not going to feel good. If he's too rushy and too gropey, and a lot of guys are too rushy and too gropey. They don't mean to be. They don't know any better, because guys are always wanting their dicks touched. You can go up to a guy and touch his dick and he's going to love it, but no woman's going to like to be grabbed by the pussy. Doesn't feel good. It's gropey, it's rough, it's very unpleasant. And then the natural response for the body would be to not want to be touched, to lose your libido. It's a self-protection mechanism that makes sense, right? So you're allowed to just imagine, just push away the hands that don't feel good. Just push them away and make a boundary around yourself. Just imagine, I'm going to back up a little bit. It's like, no, you can't touch me like that. And just make a boundary around yourself and honor your boundary and your space and how people are allowed to touch you, and teach them how to touch you, because your loss of libido may not just be to atrophy from lack of exercise. It could also be how your partner's touching you. And you may not even know that that could be why you lost your libido. In fact, I have had women tell me that they were guarded around their husband because they sexually guarded, like they had completely lost their libido. They thought they had no libido, and then they got around a different man where all of a sudden they were like so aroused, and they thought it was just that man turning them on. And that might have been part of it, but they were guarded around the man whose touch they didn't want, or because they felt like, I don't want him to touch me, he's just going to start touching me. Because if we don't want that guy to touch us because of how we feel about him, or we're mad, like resentments, or he's not good at touching us, we can actually shut our libido off. I've experienced this myself, and that's why I'm such a big believer in, I will never ever let someone touch me in a way that doesn't feel good. I will always speak up. And if he doesn't like it, that's too bad. I will always speak up for my body, and I will always speak up for my body. My body, ladies, our bodies are counting on us. Our bodies are counting on our mouth to take care of us. Okay? Our bodies are relying on our mouth. And what I've noticed is men will say, oh my God, I didn't know. They don't know. We got to teach them. They don't know. If you do come across someone who goes, well, I don't give a shit what you want, throw him out the door. That probably exists, but I haven't seen it happen, because men want to know how to please us. They want to know how to turn us on. And to the extent that we think they don't want it, that could be just our own story, or maybe the guy that we're picking. But just kind of, if you lost your libido, kind of tune into your own body and see what it's trying to tell you. If there's something you've been avoiding in your body, or a part of your body that you've been neglecting and need to make friends with, so to speak, that you haven't appreciated or acknowledged. I've read somewhere in some women's sex educator books that most women have never even looked at their genitals. I mean, they're hard to see. Guys are always seeing theirs because they have to hold it to urinate. So for women, a practice is to like get a mirror and to just look and explore. And a lot of women aren't going to like what they see. Guys find this very hard to believe, that women don't like what they see when they put a mirror there. But I can relate to this as well. I've experienced this many times as well. So to start making friends and appreciating the beauty of our bodies, the way exactly as they are, and to build a connection with it, and to build some awareness of it, make a connection with it, be friendly with it. I think that's super important, that we get to honor it and make friends with it. I think is super important, whatever the journey is like for you. I used to think that I don't like it, so I need to I need to be around a man who tells me that it's beautiful so that I can find it's beautiful, but that is not the answer. That doesn't help, because then I just don't believe them. I have to be the one to decide that it's beautiful. So that's another part I think that's very important for men and women too, that we are comfortable in our own bodies as they are made, and I think our society has so many, like, this is the right body or the right penis. I had a gentleman leave a comment on the video I made, that's what's the best penis size. I was answering a subscriber's question, and the gentleman left the comment that we shouldn't even be making videos like this. Why are we even talking about this and giving young men the idea it's something they should think about? And there's a lot of truth to that statement. Like, who cared? Why are we even talking about it? There's no need. Of course, we want to talk about it instead of not talking about it. But the answer is, it doesn't matter. They're all beautiful. They're all beautiful. Society has come up with these beauty standards. And by the way, these beauty standards that we have, they keep changing. At one point women were very voluptuous, and then they were supposed to be very skinny, and then their big butts were in, and now big butts are out, like they're fashion trends and bodies. And nature doesn't follow fashion trends. Like, we're a product of nature. So that's just another part, as the emotional and self-confidence and self-love part. So I hope that you like this video. If anybody else has any experience or knows any information about how exercise can improve libido for women, or what can improve libido for women other than what I've already said, especially as women get older. Naturally, of course, some women can take estrogen or testosterone creams, although those also can have side effects. But if you know of anything natural, or if if strength training boosts testosterone, please drop it in the comments. And thank you so much for watching my video.